You got the touch. Bum, bam, bam. You got the power.
Yeah!
Hello and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies with special guest Tim Davis. This is the podcast where all three of us went and saw a movie at our local Regal cinema, and now we're in the dark, shady corner of the parking lot, and we're here to discuss such things as, should you see this movie? Should you not see this movie? Should you wait for streaming? Do you absolutely need to see it in theaters? Should you snack or nap during the movie? Should you pay close attention or else you're going to miss the cool Easter eggs? I don't know. We'll try to talk about these things. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy, and with us again is Tim Davis. We love to have him, and we saw a movie. This movie is called Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. And we watched it. So, this is the... We were debating and discussing. We believe this is the sixth mainline live-action Transformers movie, the seventh live-action Transformers movie, and the eighth Transformers movie overall, if you include the animated version from the 1980s.
Correct, but so
Okay. Yeah.
one to three are a continuous thing.
Michael Bay.
3 to 5 are kind of their own story, still set in that Bay universe.
Yes.
6, which is Bumblebee, was a restart. It was not a prequel. It was
a reboot.
yeah, it was a reboot. They started over. This movie follows that timeline.
Okay.
So supposedly, I mean that's what they said, and honestly, that's what it
felt-
reads to
it
me
felt more
because
like it, yeah.
they Optimus even said we've been stranded here for 7 years.
Yes.
It's 7 years past when
Yes.
Bumblebee happened.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
So let that confuse you and scare you from
Yeah.
seeing the movie.
Let that percolate in your little minds.
You're not a Transformers.
So anyway, yeah, there's a bunch of these Transformers movies. This is the latest one. There's a lot. You can go watch them all on your own, or you can skip them all and just watch this one,
Try and
or
jump
you
in
can
on
do
this
some other combination.
Order does not matter.
No, it really doesn't.
Correct. So there's a few people in this. Tim, tell us about that.
Well, usually we go with the star power and all that, but this is a Transformers movie, so the star power to me is Mr. Peter Cullen, who has been voicing Optimus Prime since the 1980s, and he still is. And
Yeah,
he
he
still will never stop, and he is the anchor of this franchise, the heart. But there were some other celebrity voices helping out here. We had, normally the unliked in this car, Pete Davidson, shows up as Mirage, who is one of the
Yeah, I would say
one of the
that-
OG Transformers from the 80s.
that normality is still staying.
Well, I'll have something to say about that later. Michelle Yeoh shows up as one of the Beast Wars Transformers, the Maximals.
And Razor,
Ron Perlman as well. And
Optimus Primal.
he was Optimus Prime. Peter Dinklage is Scourge,
The
who is
Dink!
villain of this centerpiece. I don't know if Liza Koshy is as well known as a movie star, but she's a YouTube sensation, and she was Arcee, who's another 80s character.
We don't count YouTube sensations here.
And
Fake
then,
celebrity status.
The lead actors in it are, I would say, big names. Anthony Ramos is in it, and he's mostly known for Hamilton. And In the Heights. And
In the Heights.
Dominique Fishback is the other lead human. She's apparently on a couple of TV shows, but is just kind of breaking out into Hollywood as it goes.
What's
So,
one TV show she's on?
it was called, hold on.
Also, follow-up question: who voiced Unicron?
I don't have
IMDb
It's
is
not
letting us down.
it's not Orson Welles or
Well-
Leonard or Leonard
It's definitely not.
or Leonard Nimoy. So the show that she is on right now is apparently it's on Amazon Prime called Swarm. It's made by Donald Glover,
Oh, Swarm. Okay.
and she's also apparently known for Judas and the Black Messiah, which she apparently won a award for.
Okay.
All right,
Great.
Are you going to continue to look for Unicron while we?
I am going to do
Okay,
that
good.
because I also did not recognize his voice. It sounded very generic.
Great. Well, thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
And I will now tell you what this movie is about without using spoilers. So, with any Transformers movie, you have sort of the robots and what they're doing, and then you've got some humans thrown in. So I'll tell you about the humans first. There's this. The main character's name is Noah Diaz, and he lives in New York. And this movie is set in the 1990s.
94, I think.
And it's pretty weird because they use all this footage that has the Twin Towers in it.
Yep.
Which is always kind of freaky to me. But anyway, that's an aside. So Noah Diaz is the main guy. He's kind of a down on his luck big brother to what's the brother's name? The little brother? Chris. Yes. So his little brother Chris has some kind of illness. And
he
It
has
might be
sickle
sickle cell
cell,
anemia. I think they kind of hinted at that.
Yes, I think that's right. And because the family's down on their luck, he's like having trouble getting treatments because of paying for it and stuff like that. So Noah decides to turn to a life of crime and ends up trying to steal a Transformer, and that's how he gets kind of into the mix. He tries to steal the Transformer named Mirage.
Another stupid human plot in the Transformers movie.
Yes, and then what we find out is, well, the Autobots who are on Earth are trying to. They notice that this beacon thing, a transwarp key, is what it's called in the movie.
Right.
It starts going off because it's just been unearthed from Africa, and it starts going off in this museum because they found this artifact, which leads us to the other kind of main human person who
Elena.
is Elena, who is an intern at a museum, but she's very well versed in what's going on, and she ends up kind of opening up this statue which has the transwarp key in it. And so that sets off this beacon that all the Autobots are like, oh, we got to go get this transwarp key. Maybe we can get back to our home planet of Cybertron. And that would be great. But they need humans to go into the museum, so they pick Noah to do this since he's already there. And basically, this other group of robots comes in. The what is their name?
They're supposed to be the Predacons, but
Right.
they are not the Predacons.
They call them the Terracons.
The
Yeah,
Terracons.
Terracons.
Yes. So they come in. There's a group of robots that are working for this huge robot god-like creature that eats planets called Unicron. And he gave them special powers, and they're there because they want the transwarp key, because they want Unicron to use it to travel around and eat more planets. So they end up getting this transwarp key, and then another group of robots comes in called the Maximals. There's one of those who comes in and kind of connects with the Autobots and the humans and says, well, there's another piece of this key that's they only got half of the key of the transwarp key, so I don't know where it is, but they don't have what they need. And so then the museum lady, Elena,
Smarty McSmarty.
figures out that it's in Peru, and so everyone's like, okay, let's go to Peru and get this other half of the key and then figure stuff out. So they go over there, they meet up with more Maximals, including Optimus Primal, who is a robot ape, and the leader of the Maximals, compared with Optimus Prime, who is a robot truck leader of the Autobots.
Yes.
In case you didn't know.
The name that is passed down.
Yes. So they end up trying to find this other key, and they do find it, and then there's a big battle where the Terracons come in and somehow get the other key piece, and then they're going to bring Unicron to Earth and have him eat Earth and then travel around the universe and eat planets. So that leads to a big battle between everyone, and yeah, that's kind of the movie right there.
Yeah.
And that leads us to the next portion of this podcast, where we'll hear from Todd on his gut reaction to Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.
Well, I want to put this out there so that we're clear about everything to start off.
Yep.
I will always see a Transformers movie as long as Peter Cullen is voicing Optimus Prime. Once they move on from Optimus Prime or have someone replace his voice, then I'm out. But that being said, I know that when I go see these movies, they're not going to be that good. And I have felt that way about almost every movie that's come out. Like Bumblebee had a better tone.
Yes, it did.
But I'm still not going to say it was a good movie.
I would agree with that as well.
And
it was just a step up compared.
Right. So this one, to me, follows way too much in the bayness that came before it. Just trying to imitate the shots that have already been done, doing the same kind of slowdowns during battle, and there's no originality to this one at all. It's just rehashed and stuff like that. And then they try to. And besides all of that, besides the stuff that we've already seen before, I mean, I'll always see a movie that has Optimus Prime in it. I love to see Optimus Prime fight and kill machines. It's always a pleasure to me.
He's always been one of the best.
But it's just there's just nothing that good going for this movie, in my opinion, except for, and I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but there is a mid-credits scene that is a stinger, and I think what they're doing and what they introduced the concept in that 5-minute clip got me excited for whatever's coming next. I think it was a good move on their part, because obviously I really felt like by the time they finished this movie, they were like, haven't we seen this before really 6 other times?
Yes.
The script is utter trash. It's just, and I hate these stupid characters that they introduce into these movies. Everyone's a genius somehow. Oh, did they go to school? Are they a genius? No. They just read a lot. They're a genius and stuff like that. This guy went into the military for a little bit. He's an expert, electronics person. Oh, okay. Well,
that's convenient.
There's nothing, and then he left the military. He was only in the military for a very short time. Well, how good can he really be? And the opening scene introducing us to the main character is him fixing a cable box. And it's of course. We can't have normal characters. They all have to, be somewhat normal, and then something super extraordinary that fits the story and stuff like that. And I'm sure almost everyone's going to say in their review, entirely too much human stuff in these movies, and it just seems like they don't learn. Every Transformers movie since the first one, the first 3 kind of topped each other, but then every movie since then keeps going down in how much money they make, and they're not learning the lesson that people want to come. At this point, CG is so good and stuff like that, we could have a full-blown just Transformers movie.
What is the name of the movie?
They are, I don't know, scared to do that. So it's just, it's not that good. The only people I think who should see this movie are the people who've seen all the Transformers movies who come before them and they loved them. That's the only caveat. Which obviously was a person down the road from us who laughed at every stupid joke. It was this woman who every time a quip came in, she just loved it and repeated the line. It's okay, well, this movie's for that person who has
great, good for her.
Has some special kind of taste in movie. So
Michael Bay's niece.
Sneaking into
Michael Bay's movies do make money.
So I mean, I even if you're a fan of Optimus Prime like I am, I don't me going to see these movies is my curse. I'm not going to put that on you. So I don't. Besides that small caveat, I can't really say people should go see this movie. It's everything you've seen before, and at this point, maybe in before that you've seen it, it may have been better. So, that's going to be me. They do not learn their lessons with these movies. It's the same trap, same problems. Every movie is the same. They think they have to have these human protagonists and stuff like that, and I don't think you do, like, at all.
And Todd, I think you need, before you move on, you need to touch on the Beast Wars being your hook, as that was your Transformers growing up, just like Generation.
I mean, I watched
Generation.
both.
I know, but Generation 1 was like what I grew up with, so you have special attachment to them introducing them here, and
it's not good.
Right.
It's just not good. Like, I mean, I think in general, well, okay, they gave 2 Maximals enough time to talk and develop characters. The other 2 don't.
Or window
like
dressing.
maybe just said a couple of words and that's it. And it's like, and you know, it's kind of like that with the Autobots too. There were 2 Autobots where they got to say a whole lot of stuff, and then it was like 2 other Autobots that just were kind of there every once in a while. And it's just like, you can't make me care about these people if I don't know about them, if I don't like experience their story, like. And it's just, they spent so much time on an Optimus Primal kind of relationship, which was fine, but, you know, the other Maximals just didn't get a time to even talk, which is very disappointing. Yeah. And then also, like, any fan of the show will tell you that it's the Maximal versus the Predacons, and there's no Predacons in this movie. They kind of just glossed over that, so you don't get to see all the good villains from that show at all, which was very annoying for me because I thought that show had some great villains. I understand why they couldn't use Megatron, who was the villain in that show too, just a different Megatron reusing the name. I guess they didn't want to get everyone confused, so I get that, but they're still great villains that from the show that they didn't even use at all. Like, it just was a weird mixture of, let's throw in the Beast Wars characters, but let's also do Unicron, and let's also try to pay homage to that 80s movie, like cartoon movie, and really, honestly, the trope that they just beat into the ground that got me so frustrated. I mean, at the end of the movie, I was just mad, is that they teased death in this movie so freaking much. Like, there was probably no less than 6 kind of like death scenes where you're like, oh, well, that person's probably dead. Nah, everything's fine. No, this is fine. And that was very annoying. I'll end it there because I'm rambling at this point. Tim?
Yeah. So
oh, I hate Pete Davidson. I will continue to hate him no matter what. He may have done okay in this movie, but his voice is annoying. He's annoying, and I'd like to keep it that way. Tim?
Yeah. So I'm with you, Todd, for the very same reasons. Like, as a big Generation 1 fan growing up, and it's just, you know, you see elements of what you loved growing up, and they're there. Like I said, Peter calling Optimus Prime. He's the master. And again, Optimus kicks ass in these movies just like he always does, and that's great. But you can't build a movie around that. It's almost like they know they have to put that in so that people like us will still come out and see it. And when you just take concepts very loosely from the originals, but not reinterpret them in a smart way or in a creative way, or it's just like, hey, you remember that thing? Here it is. And it's just, it's sloppy, it's lazy, and like you said, the script has nothing going for it. The jokes are kind of cheesy. You know, they're hammering home. You're in the '90s, more than Air did with the '80s, I think.
Yes.
It just, I don't know. And like you said, maybe Michael Bay didn't direct this, but boy, it felt like his fingerprints were all over it. And this director was not the same director as Bumblebee, and it seemed like he didn't know what he was trying to do.
Right.
It's like the studio directed this, and he just was following along like, well, I need to do this, and I need to include this, and I need to show this, and here you go. That's like these Transformers movies. Okay, so we start with backstory, exposition, humans, introduce them, no matter in some dumb scenario that would never happen in real life, and then they stumble upon artifacts that lead to the Transformers, and then we're on adventures.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's a template that has not worked and still continues to not work. Because these movies aren't called Humans, they're called Transformers. And people are here to see the Transformers. And if you don't give them any screen time or personality or anything, they're in these big battles and you're not really rooting for anybody. Or you just assume, well, the good guys will win because that's what happens. And it's just, you introduce a concept like Unicron, which was this amazing, scary villainous threat that the cartoon never had up to that point. And that movie has the biggest stakes of anything in that franchise. And you just kind of ape it for this in some like because you needed a threat. And it doesn't come across the same way. Just like in, what was it, number 2 or 3? Where they killed Optimus off for about half the movie.
2.
And that death was just nothing. That death was nothing. The death in the 86 movie was one of the most, like, heartbreaking scenes in a cartoon that had more emotion in it than any of these Michael Bay / live action Transformers has done. So it's just, as a Transformers fan, it's just disappointing to see elements of what you love turned into just generic blandness. And you know, like RC was there and they had elements of her personality. It's nice to see her, but she was just kind of a background character. Bumblebee is the same Bumblebee he has been, where they, you know, he might have been, they were clever again with some of the radio clips and voice movie clips that they used for his voice, but again, he felt like a side character. And he got a throwaway line of Optimus saying, well, was one good human was good to you before, to at least connect the universe here. And it's just, I don't know, it's just, you know, and like I said, going back to Pete Davidson, yeah, I'm with you. I don't like Pete Davidson, the person, either. But he did capture Mirage. That was an accurate Mirage. And I didn't hate him in this.
Fair enough.
I didn't love him, but he was Mirage, and he captured that. And so I'll give him that. And
we didn't have to look at his smiling
correct.
face.
That's true.
That's that. He was better as Mirage hidden as a robot.
Yes.
And I thought the other voice acting choices were good choices, but they didn't get to really shine. Like Michelle Yeoh gave Airazor a credibility and a kind of a regalness, but you know, and Perlman's dark, deep voice is fine for Primal, but it's like you wouldn't have even known it was them because they didn't give me anything to really stand out. And it's just, what are we doing here then? And yeah, it's just, I will agree though with you that the Stinger, which I had not been spoiled for me, I knew nothing about it, made me go, what? Okay. So I agree with you, even though that's not what this movie's purpose was. I want to be entertained by this movie too, and I wasn't. I am intrigued by what could be next, but I don't trust them to do it right.
Fair enough.
But I will agree. It was a ending like, oh, okay. So we'll see what happens next. Matt?
Well, so I too grew up on Transformers, and
Yes.
I, less the cartoon. I watched a bunch of the original series of cartoons.
Yes, you would.
Nothing after that.
Yeah.
I had a lot of the toys,
Mm-hmm.
and I loved the toys. And I never connect to these movies because the thing that I love about the toys and the cartoons was you had all these different characters and they had their own personalities and their own names.
Yes.
And you went and you bought the Transformers with your birthday money, and you looked in the back and it had the
learned how to transform them.
you learned how to transform them. It had the little stat sheet.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'd love to have Cosmos, the Autobot, who
Good
was
call.
the fastest of all Transformers with a speed rating of 10.
Even faster than Blur.
Yeah,
My
crazy.
Micro Machines guy.
So, and the other thing that was great about the cartoons and the toys was just this like rainbow of colors and characters and like
Creativity.
yes, and just a visual appealingness that is lost.
Yeah.
Are there a couple things in movies like this that are like throwbacks to or callbacks to that time and those pieces? Yes, but you're never going to do it when everyone is gray.
Yeah.
And you're never going to do it when you include 3 Transformers for each team. It really needs to be
A team.
for me. It needs to be a team, and they need to like have missions and go on adventures together. And you kind of see that over time. And I understand maybe they can't do that, or they can't write it that way. That was really more of a TV show, an episodic TV show format. but I agree that we have the technology to have special effects and CG and all the things, and they can put together a team of colorful robots.
The first 15 minutes of Bumblebee
Yeah.
is the Cybertronian War, and I wanted a movie of that because it looked great. And everybody looked like the cartoon in that.
Gotcha.
15-minute sequence.
Yeah, I didn't see that one, so
yeah, that was
maybe I should watch it.
at the very beginning. Then it launches into the human story, but Bumblebee was still decent. But those first 15 minutes, I said, okay, where's this been with this whole franchise?
Yeah.
So we just need more of that.
So that's where I'm coming in, and also even in the cartoons, the humans were stupid.
Yes.
Yeah. They were.
Just get rid of humans. Just have robots.
100%.
So let me go to this movie now
right,
with the knowledge that I'm not going to like this movie because it only has 3 people for each team and only 2 of them talk.
RC gets like no line.
Yeah. So this movie, the script is bad. Some of the voice acting is good. The human part is ridiculous.
Yeah, it really
and just why did you do it this way? And why are Transformers so reliant on humans when they could just do a much better job? And also they hang them out to dry all the time and make the humans do it themselves.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, they're first we'll send the humans in to get the artifact of the museum because we're too big to go in the building. I'm like, come on, smash and grab here.
Yeah. Yet they
what the heck?
blow a hole in the side of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no! Remember, Transformers weren't discovered. So.
Yes. So,
Which is also not true.
I know.
From Bumblebee.
Oh god.
The government did 100% know about all that.
And they did nothing here. I don't.
Yeah. So that's another
Yeah.
problem is the timelines and connections
makes no
between all
sense.
these movies. It doesn't make any sense really. If you go and sit and do anything but squint, you're going to be disappointed with that aspect of it. I did think that the soundtrack was nice.
Yeah,
they threw a lot of the 90s hits, a lot of hip hop from that era, which was kind of cool, I thought.
Yeah, no, that part I do. Yeah.
But
Transformers have good soundtracks. There's that.
But in general, this was a forgettable movie and one that didn't connect with me, and I didn't care about really any of the characters. I hear where you guys are coming from with the Optimus Prime voice guy, and
he's just
that's cool. Mm-hmm. But I thought that his character in this movie was kind of dumb.
Yes, they
dumbed
it
him
was
down.
not
I didn't like
good.
Yeah.
It was not like a superhero leader of a team of people. It was like, I don't know what I'm doing
It's
here.
Zack Snyder
like
treatment.
to me, Optimus Prime is the embodiment of the warrior poet. Fierce warrior, but
loyal
is
and,
in tune with the niceness of life and all that kind of stuff. This one introduces an Optimus who's super depressed.
Yeah.
Who just wants to go home.
Who just wants to go home,
and he
he's
blames himself for everything.
Yeah, he blows up at everyone. It's come on.
Yeah, that's not the Prime I remember. And they even have one of the Primals say that. This is not the Optimus Prime. We've heard stories about.
And there is a revert to form near the end of the movie, but it's still
too late.
We didn't need to see that one.
Right.
No.
They kind of already did that in some of the previous movies, and making him a lot more edgier and stuff like that. And I'm just
straightforward.
let's keep to what we're all coming to the table for.
Right. So I'd say I don't think you need to see this movie really. If you're gonna see it, might as well see it in the theater. There's a lot of big CG effects and stuff like that.
It does look good. I will say that.
Looks cool for the most part, although I
lacks
think
color.
it lacks color, and the battle scenes are chaotic and
as usual.
Well, they always do the same thing in the battle scenes too, where the main bad force somehow incredibly grows in number, and then it's you've got the 4 good guys versus an army, and then it's I can't keep track of everything that's happening.
Right.
Because I could keep track of 4 robots versus 4 robots or whatever. But you introduce this drone army that I'm I can't understand what's happening anymore. It's too much.
Right. Exactly. So So anyway, I didn't like this. And that's how I'll leave it.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, it seems only fitting. How many rollouts do you give this movie? 0 being the worst because then you're not around Optimus Prime and he's not giving you an order. And if you're not following Optimus Prime in life, what are you doing?
Right.
5 being the best because I guess that's 5 orders and that's 5 missions. And that just sounds like a groovy time with Optimus Prime. Matt?
I'm going to give this 1.5 rollouts out of 5. Didn't think this was worth my time or your time. And so I would encourage you not to see this movie. But, you know, if you want to watch it for some throwbacks, really, if you want to watch it for the stinger at the end, that's kind of the best part of the movie, almost.
Wow.
Almost. So
I perked up for sure.
Yeah, 1.5 for me.
Tim?
I think I'm going to be generous to it, but it's still below average. But I enjoyed Bumblebee, I think, more than you guys did. Oh, yeah, and you haven't seen it, Matt. But because there was a step in the right direction. This kind of stepped back. It didn't step back as far as the last couple of mainline Transformers movies, but it's still lacking. So the stinger bumps it up for me to right to a 2.0.
Okay.
So, as long as Peter Cullen continues to voice Optimus Prime, and I can experience that, because that is the narration I hear in my head for my life. There's a rating that I cannot go below.
Which is?
But I'm there. Like, it's not like it didn't earn anything.
What is
it's
that
like,
minimum?
And ironically enough, it's a 1.5.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
As long as they continue to have Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime in these movies, you're at least guaranteed a 1.5 for me.
I think that's right.
I can't go below that.
There's just something about him that
But
carries it.
yeah, man, did they try in some of these parts to get me to go below
Oh,
that?
I know. He is 81 after all, so hopefully he'll keep going here.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, with all the buying the likeness to people and stuff like that, and they have so many of his recordings, I think that they can, if they work out a deal with him before he dies, like, we can continue to have Optimus, but maybe it's time to move on to just a different story. Like there could be so many different Transformers, and maybe it's time to just move on from the story that we know and create something new.
And there's plenty of characters.
Right, exactly, yeah. I mean, there's so many characters that have not come into these movies. I think it might be time to, introduce something new. Even if you're going to keep Optimus Prime.
Or stick with Bumblebee.
Throw in more people. Like we were all saying.
Where's Ultra Magnus? Where's Hot Rod?
We don't talk about Ultra Magnus.
Oh, I do. Robert Stack is always.
That loser.
He's Prime's friend.
Okay.
Todd. I mean, Matt.
So, any last minute thoughts before we close out the
I wish these movies were better.
the old podcast? Okay. Fair.
I wish they would dare to believe they could survive.
Mm-hmm. Yes. All right. Well, with that, we're going to wrap up this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, where we reviewed Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. And we didn't think this one was very good. We gave it a 1 2/3 rollouts out of 5.
I ruined the scale.
And that's not great.
Well, your 2.0 took us from a 1.5 to a 1.6.
1.66.
So
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, it's all good. So thank you, listeners, for listening, subscribing, downloading, etc. Please continue to do these things. We will keep making this podcast, and we will see you next time.
Da 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 da
Da da
da da da.
da da da.